Is Friday, January 8th, 2016, and this is in reference to Dr. Paul Krugman's article in the New York Times, When China Stumbles. Now, a couple times this week, China's stock market went down so fast, I believe it was over 7%, that they had some automatic controls to kick in to close down the stock market. This sent ripples throughout the world. And Dr. Krugman's article questions what's going on and how bad is it really going to be. Now, his contention is based on the numbers that he is seeing, is that hopefully it's not too bad. And sometimes when you look at these numbers, they often end up being much worse than what they really seem. And his big question is the world ready to handle the consequences of a big fallout in the economic system in China? Now, let's go back a little bit. Dr. Krugman aptly points out that the economic model that China was basing itself on is unsustainable. They knew it was unsustainable even when they were doing 10% per year growth. They knew it's been unsustainable for a long time. They've done very little to correct it. They've done a little bit to correct it. And of course, their economic model was to build manufacturing plants, make shit really cheap, send it back to the United States and other places, and make a whole lot of money. At the same time, not having much consumption in China and having a very high savings rate. Again, extremely unsustainable. As I said, we've known that for a long, long time. Also, China is not a very nice player. I remember in the 1980s and 1990s, there were piracy all over the place, that anywhere in Beijing you could walk on the street and get a pirated copy of Microsoft MS-DOS or Windows whenever Windows came out. And they've done a fair amount of currency manipulation. And as part of the deal to bring foreign manufacturers in, they want to have they want to know exactly what it is they're making so that they can clone it themselves in China. So, but will this affect the world? Will this affect the United States and the European Economic Union? How will that help? Or will this run be contained only to China? Now, the hope is it would be only contained to China, because China has about a $2 trillion economy. And the United States has about a $17 trillion economy, and the world about a $60 trillion economy. And $2 billion, you lose about half of that. You lose about 25% of that, so to speak. That can be absorbed. But what can be done in the United States if it ends up being worse than what we suspect that it might be? Which would be similar to what we went through in the Great Recession of 2008. And Dr. Krugman aptly points out that there are a number of people, including George Soros, who has pointed out this could be just as bad as it was in 2008. So we have to really be on top of this. And what would be the effect? What could we do if this was to to fall out and head overseas here to us? One thing that we probably can't do is affect fiscal stimulus, because even though the Fed has control of that, they haven't really raised their interest rates much. They just raised it, 1/4%. It's hovering near zero. So there's not much they can really do to help out. Another thing that might be used to help out would be to have some type of a stimulus. Maybe that would be considered the Obama stimulus too. And of course, doubt very seriously if any Republican would want to be in on that. But remember, that's what happened in 2008. Things went way down, and Obama had a stimulus. And even though things haven't necessarily been that great, they didn't continue to go way down. They've started to come up. They've continued to be up. George Bush had basically 1 million jobs created in his 8 years there. I believe that Obama now is at about total over 10 or 12 million jobs created since he's been in office. And remember, he did lose about 1 million or so or more jobs when he first came in, because we were on that downward cycle from the Great Recession. So putting another stimulus in is probably not what the Republicans want to do, especially in an election cycle. At the same time, let's remember that by not doing something like that, they will almost assure that things will stay, if it goes bad, that'll stay bad for a longer period of time. And of course, if a Republican gets elected president, probably the first thing they'll want to do is say we need a stimulus, even though the whole time during the election cycle they said no. But let's get something straight here. China's been a bad actor. Maybe this is the right time to come. It's time to haunt them. But we need to be prepared if what's going on in China has a ripple effect over here. Regardless of how bad an actor they are, regardless of currency manipulations, regardless of all that other kind of crap that they do, we need to protect ourselves if something bad goes over there. And at the same time, when they're down, we should probably take advantage of it to the best of our ability.